raised in Buffalo, New York. Came to Jamestown in 2003 to change my life. I found a society of good people that I have emulated and learned how to live amongst my brothers. I ultimately bought a home at 269 Broadhead in 2007 with the help of Community Bank and some upstanding citizens here. In 2018, I lost the house in a court proceeding to my significant other or non-significant other. This woman immediately after being rewarded the home, boarded it up, moved to Florida, and told the bank she doesn't want it anymore. The home hung in the balance for the past 4 years. In the interim, I had bought the house next door at 273 Broadhead in a foreclosure sale from Peterson Auction, of which I rehabbed and restored at my expense, and as I proceeded to attain my home at 269 Broadhead once again. Director of the Department of Development, Christo Sertic, Rehab and Code Enforcement, Jan Potter, and Associate Corporation Counsel, Benjamin Haskin, putting their titles into action, came up with a pilot plan to rehab some of the many homes in our community where they would seek interested neighbors who have a heartful invested interest. Going toward a positive direction of rehab and at the same time putting these properties back on the tax roll and eliminating squatting homes, which is again for the safety of my neighborhood and our community. It will take a measure of cooperation and participation. This is something, as a resident of the town now, I am privileged to be a part of. If anyone of this council has doubts about our city being involved in such a positive action with the funds we are being entrusted, please give it the time and thought it deserves, if only not for us, but to restore a healthy environment for our children to come. I have a grandson that's 9. It is a privilege to be here, heard, and I thank you for including me in this process, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. If anyone else would like to address the council this evening?
I'm Doug Champ, I live at 225 Bowling Street, Jamestown, New York. I've got a couple of topics tonight that I think are quite important and they deserve answers. And I think it's possible that we can look at this as a opportunity. First of all, the 2 public safety departments came tonight for their budget. You all know how I feel about that. We can't do enough to provide to them what they need. So I look forward, as you have done already, assisted under the American Rescue Plan and then also stepped up to what's needed. Now, we've lost sight in this community of the definition of what the American Rescue Plan is all about. There are 3 keystones of this, and it seems like it's difficult at times to understand them. Public safety, public health, economic recovery. What do they all mean? They mean $28 billion has come to this community to address these issues. I'm wearing this t-shirt tonight. For anybody who hasn't been to Dansville, Drysville, Iowa, it's a field of dreams. I'm a baseball fan. Always have been. I get misty-eyed when I think about playing catch with my dad, who was my age or something like that. But here's what I ask you all now. I went through the numbers of the census. The last time the city of Jamestown's population increase was 1950. 1950, okay? It's projected that over the next 10 years we lose 1% per year. What does that mean? What are you doing about Now, in addition to that, the U.S. Department of Rural Development, I don't know if everybody understands, but I'm on the list of a lot of things across the country that get sent to me. We've never taken advantage of the Rural Development Agency. We never have. We never submitted an application for it. Right now, announced today in the Federal Register, November 7th. It's a whole new initiative. All kinds of things. I am so tired of trying to get things done because everyone that wants to go after turns a blind eye. Why is that? The Board of Public Utilities had an opportunity to go after the Farm Bill for $25 million to accelerate a new fuel opportunity within the hot water district heating system, and they totally ignored it. I gave it to them. I've given the city and this administration opportunities after opportunity of going after some possibilities. That is why I'm wearing this t-shirt tonight. So we're going to hear from special interests about money needs. So what are they going to do with the money? Will they build it? Will they come? We don't have any buildings in the city of Jamestown that are equipped to handle modern technology and the recruiting thereof. What did the battery guys do? They went to the town of Ellicott, the same town of Ellicott you went annexation against. The cooperative effort here needs to be improved. You don't have a building in the city. If you do have, I'd like to hear one that's modern, well-equipped, and suited for habitation, for this type of technology. If you had a conference on energy job creativity, new tech, where's that going to happen here? Now you're giving away money, and I've always asked you to make sure the American Rescue Plan formula is followed, not ignored. Followed. Justification of job creation, tax issues associated with it, not abatements. All of this stuff is keystone, because in 2-3 years from now, you're going to be out of these funds, and I'd like to know what's going to happen with all the money that's been spent. How many jobs are going to be created? And a $10 million program downtown. Can anybody tell me any jobs were created? How many buildings are still vacant from that? If you build it, they will come. What are you building that they will come to? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else like to address the council?
Tori Erding, 261 Towner Avenue. As you may recall, the Chautauqua Region Community Foundation worked with the City of Jamestown to host listening sessions during the summer of 2021. Our goal was to hear directly from the community about their ideas for how to invest the American Rescue Plan Act funding. We compiled that feedback and presented a summary to City Council in the fall of 2021. I couldn't believe how long ago that was. Felt like it was just yesterday. Tonight I'm here to share a bit of encouragement as you hone in on what may be the final decisions for the balance of the ARPA funding. We live in a time when a scarcity mindset is very easy to adopt. A time when partnerships and collaboration can be mistaken as weakness. However, we have proven in this community what can happen when we have an abundance mindset. We work through public-private partnerships every day to achieve tremendous results. And I encourage each of you to lean into that shared experience by aligning the remaining ARPA funding with community-based projects that have significant leveraging opportunities. Projects that have been evaluated and awarded funding from other sources, both government and philanthropic. Projects that provide infrastructure and programming for children and young adults. Projects that yield measurable results, deliver significant community benefit, and address challenges that are multifaceted. As we know all too well in philanthropy, the needs are always greater than our resources, but we can meet so many more needs when we collaborate and work together.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
Greg Edwards, CEO of the W Foundation here in Jamestown. I had some experiences in life that give me some insight into the challenge that the council faces. I've also had some direct experience with the city when these opportunities were not before the city. Those of you who've been around for a while know that there's been a long stretch of time when the city's done everything it could and done a valiant job of maintaining what you could maintain, growing in the opportunities that you could, but you didn't have the opportunities to make voluntary decisions on truly where you wanted to invest, not just for today, but for the future. What you've been very successful at, as Tori alluded to, is finding partners out there that would help you in your mission. And whether it was local foundations or local businesses or other not-for-profits, repeatedly, time after time, of course of the last, I can reflect back in the last 20 years, you found ways to advance necessary movement for the people you represent by finding those partnerships, aligning yourself where you could with them, and helping in every way you could, most years incrementally, in trying to fulfill the mission that everybody in your city has, and that's for a more vibrant, more full of opportunity, safer place for people to live and do their business. Over the last 20 years, many times, not-for-profits have willingly stepped up, and the public-private entities have stepped up because they've seen how valuable our joint mission was and invested dramatically in trying to impact on the future of this city in ways that we could spend a great deal of time tonight celebrating this partnership between the city and these entities. I think that's an important moment in time this evening to contemplate what the city might be able to do, since you do have this rare opportunity with funds that you can invest very strategically to advance many of these things you've rightfully relied on others to help you accomplish in years past. A couple of things I'll mention specifically. The land bank is one of the items that are before you. That was very much a joint effort between other municipalities, state, federal, and county, and the city to really try and move that needle. An excellent entity was created because of this partnership to seize the opportunities for a collective effort and really make a difference in terms of time. I think entities like that deserve to be looked at for their history, their success, and their efficiency. I'll also speak about other entities that are before you, as they have been before not-for-profits and foundations around your community, specifically the zone at the arena. I understand they have met and discussed the opportunity that presents itself at the zone. Those of you who've been at the National Comedy Center, picture what that would be like, specifically focused on kids and the opportunities we have to have hands-on experience with regard to technology. In a city like Jamestown, where up until the time that will be open, your only opportunity was getting in a plane and flying to Disney, or potentially getting in a car with your family or friends and driving to Rochester to see that beautiful opportunity that they have in Rochester. That's here before us in the city of Jamestown, and many entities have stepped up to put it on the brink of a reality. There's folks here tonight that can go through intimately the dollars that have been invested in that, but I can speak specifically about the Getty Foundation, where we've invested just short of $4 million in making that entity a reality. The city can play a key role in making that final support available to make that a reality, and in doing so, offer every one of your children in the city of Jamestown in that prime age to experience the zone, have the opportunity to have that experience for nothing. But it takes a really large group to make a heavy lift like that take place, and I believe the city has a role there to play. I'll mention, without getting into a great deal of detail, that the YMCA's desire to develop a new facility on Heritage Street is also squarely before our region. I've looked at the numbers and the capital stack they put together. I compliment my fellow foundations for the huge leap they're taking in supporting and looking at supporting that facility, along with the most creative minds around, and finding other funds to do that. I believe that's another example where the city could do something that would impact positively on every child that is within your footprint and beyond. So I'm happy to answer questions, offline, offer whatever information I can, but I will go back where I began. I have some experience where you sit here tonight and that terrible horns of dilemma that you're on, seemingly to have unlimited money, knowing that you certainly do not. You have to make some tough decisions. I think there are good ones that can be made. I have confidence that you will do that.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to address the council? Okay, we'll move on. Understand, Marie didn't have housing, right?
We didn't have housing, but I did want to bring up, we do have a list from the Department of Development, and the director, Crystal Surtick, did indicate to me that with around $500,000, we could eliminate 16 homes that have been on the demolition list, maybe as many as 25, depending on the issues that they find. If there's asbestos that causes the expense for the remediation prior to the demolition, as well as lead and other things, so. They wanted to let everybody know we do have, and there is a list available. There are a number of properties that have been on the list for a while. We have, projects where the homes have caught fire, and we're dealing with landlords or owners of properties that aren't doing their duty and getting rid of the properties. So some of them are taking a lot longer than we would like, but we've all agreed that there are a number of properties that are really pulling down the value of the neighborhoods, and I think in some ways demoralizing the people that live in those neighborhoods. It's very difficult when you're trying to put money into your property and living in the vicinity of the property that really isn't taken care of. So with that, we will continue. We do have some projects in 19A and some other things, but the demolition list is available if anyone would like to see it. And there's pretty much because of the discombobulation of all the other meetings and one member not being available tonight. That's why we would meet. So not to think that we're not still working on all these issues.
Crystal, do you have
Anything to add?
I haven't sent it out, she asked me for it.
I'd like to ask if you could either
Yeah,
make
can send
copies.
it to, yeah, I'll send
or
it to all
send it.
council. Yep.
So yeah, there is a list.
Okay,
That's it.
any questions? All right, we'll move on to finance, Kim.
Sure. So the first resolution is resolved that the mayor be and hereby is authorized to enter into a lease agreement with the Jamestown Renaissance Corporation, 200 East 3rd, Jamestown, New York, 14701 for office space on the 3rd floor of City Hall, period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form. You guys all got your backup. It's an increase of $50 a month?
Yes.
Anybody have any other questions? Moving forward, resolution number 2, designating $1 million in no cents in our American Rescue Plan Act, Healthy Communities and Neighborhood Funds for the purpose of the land-based post-pandemic housing initiative. Chris, I sent you an email asking for some more information.
Yeah, I got that this,
It was
4:30
late.
this afternoon,
Yeah,
so.
it was late today. I know you wouldn't have it for tonight, but I would like to have that information so everybody can make an educated
Yep, absolutely.
decision on that. And again, just for clarification, I want it clearly noted that this council is in favor of demolition. It's just how to get there.
So we're gonna head on next week.
Yes. Resolution number 3, designating $750,000 in no cents in American Rescue Plan Act economic development funds for the purpose of business expansion and building acquisition program to be administered through the Jamestown Local Development Corporation and the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency. Questions, comments?
I just wanted to make a comment. On Friday, I was invited to a new business owner down at 111 Cheney Street. It's Fulton Acquisitions LLC. The owner is Scott Clark. He moved here about 2 years ago from Cleveland. His wife works for the school district. Mr. Clark is an engineer by trade. Purchased the building. I give him a lot of credit. He brought a lot of money to do it. Took me on a tour of the building and showed me some critical areas where the building is failing. And he's asking for this resolution to pass. And like I told him that day, I couldn't think of a better way to spend some of this money here was on new businesses that have come in here. Mr. Champ touched on that. Often we see the same names over and over and over again asking us for funds. And this is a prime example of someone that's new to the area, that's divided the building up into a multi-use facility, including possibly some of his own manufacturing in the conveyor belt business. So the $750,000, I think, would be well put into new businesses such as Mr. Clark's. I know some council members have been contacted by Mr. Clark and asked to also come down and do a tour, and I would recommend that you do that, see what he has going on. And it's nice to see someone new here in town, a new face, a new name, and someone trying to start something new in our city.
I would just echo that. I know that he is looking at creating jobs in the city.
Yes, he mentioned 20 to 25 jobs.
But for clarity, this is not just new business.
Right.
So you made a statement, you wanted it to go to new business. It's not just for new business, it's for expansion of existing, so. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, resolution number 5, designating $1,500,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act economic development funds for the purpose of funding the nonprofit assistance program to be administered through the Jamestown Local Development Corporation and the Jamestown Urban Renewal Agency. Questions, comments? Well, I know you all heard some presentations tonight, and we all have gotten multiple calls and emails. Does anybody have any specific questions?
I think we've waited, the process, as I asked the mayor and Crystal to put the application together, and, I think it's time to move forward. Start to act, that's what we can make decisions on, the amount of money and who, and just like the other programs out there, they can apply for those funds and we can get one on that. I would support that.
Did you miss number 4?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna put it.
Resolution number 4, resolved that the Jamestown City Council designates $750,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act Neighborhood Stabilization Funds for the purpose of creating permanent 19A home ownership program. Questions, comments? Everybody's quiet, and I've had a lot of contact with me with a lot of differing opinions on differing amounts, so I don't know why people are afraid to speak up. Anyone?
We've been told we can always adjust the dollar amount.
You absolutely can, up to the last wire, but in all fairness, it'd be nice to have the discussion,
You know it, yes.
okay?
We'd appreciate it.
Just so everybody can kind of be on the same page, what would the bare minimum amount for that to be where the program would be successful? Is there room to move that up, down, to kind of the bottom there, the 750?
I think we would, no less than 5. So no less than 500. And we can put together kind of a worksheet that shows what that looks like and.
Could you do that for next week? We would appreciate it.
With both, right?
Yeah, the 2 resolutions, more information.
Sure, yeah.
I guess, on number 5, I've heard a lot about the funding of a brand new YMCA. The question I've had, the college has a pretty successful gym facility there, JCC.
It's not open.
What?
It's not open.
Well,
It's not open.
It's been open for 2 years.
okay.
It will be short.
It will will be, but the question is, they have a brand new kitchen facility that I understood that they wanted to provide meals for the kids, that was part of the project. Why, rather than reinventing with, they could expand the building at the Y for a lot less, or excuse me, at the college, for a lot less money than building a brand new building. They've got a pool, they've got a track, they've got basketball courts, and that building could be expanded for a lot less than building a brand new Y. I'm just saying, I mean, when we
Well,
talk about partnering, everybody wants to do things nice.
Without getting into too many details,
I'm just saying,
discussions were had, but
and even the
it's
Boys and
kind of
Girls
apples and
Club.
oranges.
Well, the Boys and Girls Club, are they partnering as well?
Yes,
Because that's
they're
pretty.
part of that. There's some partnerships going on with that.
I'm just saying, you know, if we talk about partnering, there are opportunities, and I don't know why, I mean, it's worked with the Y in Olean with the college as a partner. I'm just saying, it may be, you know, there are some opportunities there with the college, and I'm sure the college would be amenable to trying to work something out. It would also ease the staffing, because they have college students, there are people working it. Payroll wouldn't be as bad. Just a thought.
Wouldn't a new facility be attracting to the max as opposed to the college, where people are used to going there as a college in a different environment for the mass of our city? Just a thought.
I'll comment that a few of the organizations that are being considered for this funding have done quite a bit of work to put money in the pipeline, if you would, and to have resources committed. And two that come to mind are asking for a commitment from us as a city so that those monies in the pipeline can come to fruition and help guide the project to success. So we should remember that there's money, a lot of money outside of what this resolution's about.
I personally can't think, and I've had conversations with President Goltz, I can't think of a better project to support than the Y. If you think about the number of lives that place touched, me personally as a child growing up, where, coming from a family of five, my parent couldn't afford a membership. But somehow, I got a membership and I went to the Y every weekend. Saturday and Sunday, I was at the Y playing basketball all weekend long. It kept me off the streets. I remember dragging myself out on Sundays, just exhausted from swimming and playing basketball. And I can't think of a better opportunity here than to service all members of the community, from our youth to young adults, to the older generation. The building is well outdated, and we need a new Y. I just can't think of a better thing to put money into or have a commitment to from the city that's going to benefit everyone,
Has anyone?
all walks of life.
Anyone set the list for that building down there? What will be the plan for that project?
It was discussed here that there was possibility that the Gebby Foundation was involved in something like that. There was a mention.
Nothing concrete as far as what they plan, and that would be,
Just what was mentioned here in the meeting of what was gonna happen to that building, I don't know.
and that's a building with 2 pools, 2 floors of housing in the middle of downtown.
Well, the housing authorities in the town, so that
Right,
at this point it would remain the
but
same.
the rest of the building is very difficult to occupy without a lot in front of it.
Mr. Edwards, have you been approached at all about that existing building?
I've been involved in conversations around the local Y for guaranteed over 7 years. There's no doubt that anyone who's taken a look at the building recognizes that this 1929 structure has far outlived its capacity, and the engineers that have looked at it are surprised that there hasn't been more serious challenges, particularly with the we'll call it the older, smaller pool in the surrounding area there than what's experienced so far. It's a complicated building because of the HUD contract on that has another, off the top of my head, 12 years to go, possibly 15 years more to go. But there have been significant conversations around how that could actually be a plus to other redevelopments potentials around the city, and how that building itself could be reused. I had a conversation 2 months ago with a private developer who was interested in turning it into we'll call higher-end housing, because it does come with some amenities that other buildings don't. I mean, having the gyms, the pools, those sorts of things, that does provide opportunities kind of we call it built in that would make it interesting. So I think that there's harder buildings to redevelop in the city than that one. That's going to be a challenge because of how many times it's been modified over the years and the existing obligations under the HUD contract. But there's a group of people that are interested in seeing that go into its highest and best use if it were to have a second life after the life.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, moving on to resolution number 6, the mayor is hereby authorized to enter into an agreement with Ameriflex Corporate, 2508 Islander Way, Suite 200, Carrollton, Texas, for a premium conversion plan and flexible spending plan in accordance with section 125 of the Internal Revenue Code, in the amount of $415 per participant per month for the administrative services of the employees of Jamestown, City of Jamestown, for January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2025 time period, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form. Just to note, this is again a renewal, and there's no fiscal impact to the city. The fee is paid by the participant. Any questions or comments? Resolution number 7, the city controller being hereby is authorized to make the following amendment to the 2022 general fund budget for mobile data terminals as follows. Increase appropriations 8.3120.0299.0000 other equipment $5,247, and decrease appropriations contingency account $8.1990.0400.0000 $5,247. John is apparently not here. Do you know where he is? Did he leave?
Yeah, he had to leave for the evening.
Okay. Can someone please request an update of the contingency account from him? Would you-
Actually,
You have it?
You could email
There was another one on here too.
Yeah, he doesn't have both of them, yeah, because there's a couple. Okay. So with the 2 resolutions today, it'll leave the contingency with a remaining balance of $132,968.60.
A little less than 2 months to go.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that question.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Resolution number 8, that the mayor be authorized and directed to purchase from SHI International Corporation, 290 Davidson Avenue, Somerset, New Jersey, 12 mobile data terminals for a total amount not to exceed $5,247.00, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form. Again, that's just approving the purchase of the change in the budget amendment up above.
This is for the police department.
Yes, right, Tim? This is for your vehicles?
This is, Mark sent out a clarifying email on this, I believe, to all of us.
Yeah.
It's not for purchasing, it's for upgrading a service plan or something, right?
Yeah. But it's just the police department and motor. Be nice if we could purchase that equipment for $5,000. Okay, resolution number 9 is that the mayor be and hereby is authorized to enter into an administrative service agreement with Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Western New York, 257 West Genesee Street, Buffalo, New York, to administer the City of Jamestown self-insured health insurance program for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, at a rate of $44.05 per member per month for the period of January 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, at a rate of $45.80 per member per month for the period of January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, at a rate of $47.55 per member per month, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form. Again, this is a renewal. It's a 3-year contract, and I believe you all got the detailed information in the packet. So does anybody have any other information to add? John's not here. Jen, are you on that? Does anybody have any questions that maybe we can ask with Elliot? If not, with John?
I'm assuming we went shopping around.
Yes, so it was looked at as far as the different plans from different companies. It was brought to some members of the healthcare committee. This is a continuation, as Kim said. There are some kinks that we're still working on, specifically with the prescription drug plan and with our health and wellness plan. Part of the issue is we have a changeover in companies.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
We have a changeover in companies from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Highmark. So there are some hiccups that we're working on.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, resolution number 10, that Dan Stone, Mike Cady, Kelby Felt, Brandon Fain, and Adam Kyle be authorized to attend the ACRT Arborist Training on November 18th at the Punderson Manor Lodge and Conference Center in Kingsman Road, Newbury, Ohio, with expenses paid pursuant to section 77B of the general municipal law. I have no questions. Anybody? Resolution number 11, that the city controller be and hereby authorized to make the following amendment to the 2022 general fund budget for a replacement fleet maintenance truck as followed. Increase appropriations, equipment, 8.1640, 0.0200, $52,534.00. And decrease appropriations of the contingency account, 8.1990, 0.0400, 0.0200. Again, I don't know if Pat wants to add, this is the replacement of the vehicle that was involved in the traffic accident. There was a bunch of data attached, including pictures. Pat, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, this was, as you said, this was the vehicle that was involved in the accident on the 26th. This vehicle was one of the main vehicles that we use daily for our operations, and it was intended to replace the one that is shown in the pictures that I provided, just to give you an idea of how bad a shape that one was. So right now, we're relying on that one alone, and it's not working out very well for us. So I was able to locate this vehicle, this replacement vehicle that we can have immediately.
And it is through the state procurement policy, right, and everything is.
Right, as emergency purchase.
Yep. Anybody have any other questions? Okay, again, that leaves the contingency with 132,968 and 60 cents remaining with 2 months left. Resolution number 12, resolved that the mayor and Jeff Lehman, PE Director of Public Works and Acting Director of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, be authorized and directed to purchase from Bridgeland Auto Brokers of Bridgeport, New York, via the emergency purchase provisions of the procurement policy per quote dated 11/1/2022, one used 2022 Chevy Silverado truck, regular cab truck, for a total amount not to exceed $52,534.09, subject to the approval of the corporation and council as to form. Again, that's just the purchase of the above amendment. Anybody have any other questions? I have a couple things. We kind of discussed them in the budget. Unfortunately, John's not here. So I will email him. I have some inadequacies between the 1020 ARPA funding and the 11/6 that he mailed today with what's available. But you all got that to-date purchases are $19,734,279. We have in front of us, with what we read through today, again, we have to remember, we have on hold the software upgrade for finance. That's also included in here. Another $4,091,684. So that would roughly leave us with about 4 million, and he has included also in here some planning stage I asked for from the mayor, who's not here tonight as well. Detailed of all the things that he had out in the public, of what he, I guess, has promised, if you will. And he also included, John also included on here 2 parks and laborers, a new ambulance, which Chief Kuhn referenced here. I know that is contingent also on the Safer Act, because if we don't get the manpower, can't really run another ambulance with the manpower we have today. But that, and also some park improvements, which includes the splash pad, Roseland Park and others, and then lost revenue, and that is totaling almost the $4,253,182. I would like to see a little bit more detail, obviously, on those 4 items. Obviously not the ambulance, I know that's the cost, but the park improvements, I know the splash pad, Tower Street was one of them that was made public, that plans were in the works, so I would like to see the detail of that, $750,000 as well.
Councilmember Reckon, we are firming up, getting final quotes for that.
We're just down to the wire, and we need to see the detail.
And Kim, I thought we had bonded for that ambulance.
Different ambulance.
Different ambulance?
That ambulance is in service and is for the current personnel. This ambulance, which is new, is linked to the Safer Act, which Chief Kuhn mentioned. I'm assuming this is linked together, right? That's what I was told by John. No? So you want the ambulance regardless? Okay, so it would be a second ambulance. I was wrong. Want to communicate that with John. You want to speak to it?
Our need for a second ambulance.
What is that?
Certainly. The current ambulance that we operate is a 2013, it was purchased with grant funds in 2013. So we have not used any bonded monies, nor have we purchased an additional ambulance that's in use by the fire department at this time.
Yeah, I thought we bonded just 2 years ago for
We had it on that proposal. It never went through.
We did, the bond that you did pass, but we used that money to pay principal because after the year expired, we weren't any closer to getting that second ambulance. So we used that money to pay down the principal of that borrowing, I believe.
Can you send that information out to people so that it's clear as well?
Yep.
The other thing I need from the controller who's not here, or the mayor, in the revenue line items, many of us have been inundated with a 100% increase in parking meter fees via residents and businesses downtown. Would like to see the justification for that, as well as any other large revenue increases that are in the budget. I have printed every page, but it doesn't give me an explanation, so we're looking for that. That's it out of finance.
Okay, just to recap too, I know that since there's people here, of those 4 resolutions that we're dealing with ARPA funds, the 2 that, the 19A, and the, landing were tabled, they will be acted upon next week. So if any council person has any questions or wants to tweak any of the numbers on that. So the process will be next week, we'll discuss those again, those 2, so we whittle it down from the 4 to 2. Then, assuming that those go through, they will be acted upon at the voting session at the end of the month. So I just wanted to clarify that.
28,
I had a quick question for Crystal regarding the land bank money. I know some of that money's to tear down houses, correct?
Yeah, the majority of it, so 500,000 of their budget that they submitted was for demolitions.
Excuse me for my ignorance, why would we pay an outside entity, to rip houses down for us? And also pay administrative fees on top of that to rip down houses for us, when we as a municipality could do it ourselves and save money?
Sure, so, the 500,000 is to pay the contractors that would tear the houses down. So that 500 is not included in any administrative fees. The administrative fees that they have requested for administering the demolition program, is to administer the program. We can do it, and we have done it in the past, but, and this is part of my reply to Councilwoman Eklund's email, and there will be some figures in there, so, I'll have to do some calculations that will explain all of that, but, essentially, we are administering 16 plus any additional, programs that are approved. Grant programs that we have developed from scratch, that we are all different, all require their own criteria, their own tracking, their own applications, their own guidance. 16 plus, right, call it close to 20 new programs that we've not ever done before. And to administer effectively the demolition program and these and new grant programs that we have received over the last year, it's just not feasible without hiring new staff, specifically to do the demolition. So we can contract with the land bank at a roughly 20% administrative fee, which would ultimately be less than what we would have to pay to employ somebody as a city employee.
So,
And it's also, sorry,
no, it's okay.
it's also something that they do. I mean, they do it across the county, so it's something that they are well versed in and that they do as part of their mission.
So if that doesn't pass, and the 19A program doesn't pass, what happens? And we're talking about, you know, what's going to happen if these pass and how it's going to work. What's gonna happen if these two programs don't pass? What's gonna happen to those houses?
So if it doesn't pass, we're really gonna be hard pressed to try to find a way to get it done. If we don't have funding to do it, they're gonna sit. I mean, it comes down to, we need to have the funding to do it, and then we also need somebody to actually do the work to administer the programs. So they don't administer themselves, right?
Right.
There's a lot of work that goes into, you know, determining, one, getting the order to get the demolition. There's work that goes into that. There's, the work that goes into putting out the RFPs, because every single demolition has to have a proposal, so a bid package that goes out. There's testing that has to be done to determine if there's asbestos or any abatement required. You know, so for every single step, there's a whole process. Somebody has to do that times however many demolitions are gonna be done.
So I guess the concern that has been brought to me, and I've made it very clear, that I favor demolitions 100%, and I know it comes with a cost. But the land bank itself got its, correct me if I'm wrong, got its funding cut and is struggling as it is, right?
So they did not get their funding cut. Their original funding ran out, and that's across the state.
Right, I'm not saying that you didn't either. Right.
So, sorry, what was the second part of your question?
So with that being said, is this funding for them to just continue in Jamestown, or are they still working?
Yeah, this funding would all be for their work.
I
in
understand it
Jamestown.
has to be used in Jamestown, I'm saying. Are they doing other work besides
Yes,
what we would get them?
they are.
So, can I finish? So if we did not fund the land bank and fund it to the Department of Development, demolition costs, I asked you for a breakdown of justifying hiring a person to do that. I also want to look at a part-time person, a consultant based like we've done on other ARPA things, and not a full-time employee. So I would like to see that, if that person came in part-time to just administer demolitions.
Okay.
So a couple options.
To your point, we don't do anything with these, we have $100,000 in community development block grant funds, that's it, for demolition.
That's it.
And that won't even come close to dealing with how many properties are right now on the list. I mean, maybe because we hear it in housing, we get a lot of calls from people very upset about, you know, how it gets done. They don't really care, they just know that there's an eyesore in the neighborhood, they want rid of it, and they want it done yesterday. I mean, look at Spring Street, what happened down that block, and there is still more, so.
I don't wanna like doom and gloom, but basically what I hear you saying is that if this doesn't come to fruition, there's a possibility that the citizens of Jamestown can be looking at empty houses sitting there, falling down for a long time.
It's a very real possibility.
I don't think any of us want that. I guess it's a matter of how do you want to pay for it, who's gonna pay for it, who's gonna administer the program. I think the one thing that we heard last summer, many people at those meetings said they wanted to clean up neighborhoods, they wanted houses taken down. So my stance on this, I don't care who does it or how you pay for it, it's gotta get done. This is our opportunity. If we don't spend the money on this one way or the other, whichever the best way to go is, that's fine, but this is our one-time opportunity, instead of tearing down 5, 7, 8, 10 houses a year, to really make a dent and get some of these properties out of the way. So it really just comes down to how you want to pay for it.
I think we're all in agreement that this is a big complaint and a common thread among, and these properties are all over the city. There's not one particular ward that's got them all. But you're right, it's how, you know, like any of these programs, how much do you want to fund it? How are we going to accomplish it? Is it going to be quick, get it down and dirty, get it over with, or is it going to take a while? Because, you know, in the past, when we didn't have funding, we continue to see these houses. Some of them end up becoming arson targets.
I was just gonna say, that's
So it's a
my
public
concern.
safety issue. We go back to what Mr. Jim said. Public safety, how do we want to deal with this? It's not
The other
only-
problem is, in the meantime, that list is gonna grow.
Oh, I know.
Next year, the year after, there's gonna be more and more and more. So, you know, we have to, I see where your point is, that I guess the question is, it's not a question of who do it, it's how we do it.
That's what, right, yeah, I'm not disputing that, I just think we're all looking at it, how can we get this done?
Well, I would just add, again, the land bank does demolitions all over the county. It's what they were created to do, in part, as part of their mission, is removal of life. So it makes sense to have an agency that's part of what they were created to do.
It's one of their specialties.
Right. But I will get different options and different kind of price points and share that with all of you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Well, then it's finance. We'll move on to Brent, public safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have, City of Jamestown local law 2, a local law authorizing the use of video conferencing for meetings of public bodies. This is necessary due to the emergency powers that were enacted by the state during the pandemic have expired, so we need to codify this. Ellie, do you want to explain this a little bit more? I know you drafted this.
So we have, the mayor's office drafted it, but I can explain it.
Okay.
This.
You're the mayor for this.
Acting mayor.
Alright. So, in essence, this law is a codification of Public Officers Law 103-A. We've already been doing video conferencing, as anyone who's watching at home knows, as well as public participation via video and broadcasting our matters live. So with this resolution right here, it's codifying what we're already doing by having not only city council, but also various committees be broadcast live and have council members be able to appear remotely in case there is another pandemic or the pandemic comes back.
And
Will
one
this
thing-
include the BPU?
This just includes the city of Jamestown.
It does include the BPU.
No, that would be,
Why?
have to be, that would have to be passed by the BPU board. This is,
Are you recommending that?
I'm not the BPU's attorney.
Yeah, but you should take a look at that aspect.
Yes, I can certainly send it their way.
So basically, this is just codifying what we've already been doing.
Yes.
And other resolutions, we did have one special event, Veterans Day ceremony. The annual ceremony will be held this Friday, November 11th, from 10:45 a.m. until 11:15 a.m. on the corner of Third and Main Street, North Main Street. And this was approved via email to the committee. Just keep it along, it's an annual event, publicly invited to attend. And we're going to be heading to St. Luke's Church after that. Usual route.
Are they not doing anything at the park, Veterans Memorial Park?
I asked the city clerk that, she was not sure, she was gonna check with the parks. So.
There is something happening in
Is
Veterans
it?
Park.
Usually it's about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna get with Dan Stone tomorrow and just see if he could shine the light now, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're starting others.
Let the public.
Yeah, that's usually run by,
That's usually.
Yeah, it goes through the parks.
Billy, do you know anything about that?
They do that.
Because you're usually,
Third Main Street side.
you'll be there.
And we just had a brief discussion about the reapportionment and the fact that the city has hired a surveyor to look at the lines that the commission approved. There apparently is some discrepancy with the Board of Elections, so we're hoping to report on that soon. So we can pass that as a body, and because it takes effect next year's elections. Happening quickly here. Well, do you want to mention that letter that you sent to Census Gatso? Or is that confidential?
I'm sorry,
The letter you sent to Census Gatso?
it's not confidential, it's not good news though, right? So,
Well, it's something that we had passed as a body to put out the traffic, fixed location traffic enforcement devices around the schools. Apparently they've never executed the contract, so we're terminating the contract.
yes.
And just a little background on that too, did the state ever pass that? I know that we worked with Assemblyman Goodell on that.
I don't believe they did.
They didn't.
We're still working with Assemblyman Goodell and Senator Barella's office to get it past this session.
If you pass that, we might have to revisit that,
Yeah.
look at other contractors as well. Right, and that's all we had from public safety.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to Public Works. Randy?
Thank you, Mr. President. The resolutions that came before us were covered into finance, and that included the 5 employees that are gonna go to the arborist training and for the tree work in the city. And the pickup truck, of course, it needs to be purchased. And the good thing about that, as Pat had explained, is it already comes white, and it does not need to be painted, you just have to put some stickers on it. So that was a little bit of a plus for us. Other than that, we had just discussed the leaf pickup is going as scheduled. They're having some good weather for it, and they will make a second pass and pick up anything that occurred after they had went through. So things are going good. Hopefully it doesn't get a big snowfall in the next 2 weeks. We should be in good shape. We talked about the bridge on Foot Avenue that the county is putting in, and we are hoping that it will be done before the first of the month. It's an estimated projection.
Which month?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, February 1st, no. No, for December 1st. Yeah. So, and there's been some people inquiring about, they'd like to see that open, and the good news is, looks like we're only about 30 days away. So, other than that would be yeah.
Now, if we can just get the wind to die down before they pick up our leaves, so I don't have to keep.
Yeah, yeah, and I was telling them that I was the one that missed it. I was gonna put all my leaves out front, and they came by the day before, and I just missed it, so. And I have a huge pile, but they are coming back for people like me and you and whoever. Yeah.
We're the last, they haven't been around,
Yeah, they're gonna make the whole circuit once, of course.
Very good. Is there any other business?
Just to add to that, we are ahead of schedule, so we are on phase two, started phase two, this afternoon. So break your leaves,
Are we phase two?
mulch your leaves.
We're
Yeah,
phase
we're
two
phase two.
before.
Don't have the stop sign.
Whatever. I was out there raking them the other day and they were blowing back.
Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous. Is there anything else? Just a couple of things. I just wanted to, we haven't had a meeting since before Halloween, so I did want to thank Parks Department and DPW and all the city people, especially Jen, for dressing up, and Crystal, were you there?
I was not.
No, you were not.
No, some of my team.
Other people, Brent was there. The Trick or Trunk down at the Riverwalk was a huge success. We had, I think we estimated about 1,200 people, roughly, it was well over 1,000. Yeah, we were lucky, the weather was, we couldn't ask for better. It was warm, it was dry, it was a beautiful night. It was all lit up. There were several tents there and people giving out candy, and it seems like everybody had a good idea, so I don't know if that's gonna become a tradition, or if we, I know it's tricky when it's outside, especially the end of October, you never know, it could be snowing, could be raining, but we got lucky, but it was a very successful event. I just wanted to thank the departments and employees and the agencies that were there as well, that helped make that work out for our community. And of course, Veterans Day ceremonies, it's nice. People can, I know some people do work, but if you can make them, I try to get to all of them. Different, we have 3 of them. It's on Friday. Is there anything else?
Election day tomorrow.
Oh, that's right, I forgot that. Good luck.
I can't forget.
So, election day is tomorrow. And we do have 2 items for executive session.
Yeah, litigation.
Under litigation, that Elliot will be going through with us. We only need the police chief.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody else is excused. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?